The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET now has you what you need to win today. Sign up today, bet 100 and get $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. And welcome, everybody, to another edition of the NFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Wednesday, November the 9th, which means we are here to preview already week number 10 in the NFL. I am your host, Ryan McIntyre, Moneyline Mac, joined by my partner and co-host, Mr. Justin Mark, a.k.a. J Mark Football. J Mark, how's it going, brother?
It's going great, man. I went to the casino on Saturday, killed it in blackjack. Then Sunday, I know the Bears lost, but Justin Fields just looked amazing. Great game to watch. And then my parlay that I gave out last week on this show, Lions money line, Vikings money line, sorry to your Commanders, and Bears Dolphins over plus 665 hits. So mood, I am doing great.
Yeah, no, and I was hoping your Chicago Bears were going to pull the upset. Both our teams gave a valiant effort. I rolled on my lock with the Bengals. They never in doubt against the Panthers covering that 7. Heartbroken that my Washington Heineke's could not come through as the dog. But overall, another good weekend for us. The Packers lost again, and this time it was Detroit. So like you said, that was your dog. And yeah, I know I listened to the recap when you filled in for me with Rod, and things just keep on spiraling out of control in Green Bay.
Well, and we talked about it last week. We said if they lose this game, they're done this year, right?
No
I don't
doubt.
think there's any bouncing back. I mean, they got Cowboys next. They have Titans after that. They're not going to bounce back and make the playoffs, are they?
No, I mean, I guess this would be their last stand. Wounded animal coming in. They're playing at Lambeau. The temperatures are finally dropping. So I guess the weather's finally going to be cold at Lambeau. Get some real football weather, as you've been begging for about a couple weeks now.
That's right.
Shout out to Moonoff in the chat. Everybody leave a comment, or if you got any questions on the slate this week, hop in the chat. More than happy to answer as we go along. But yeah, no, the Packers, I mean, if they don't win this, the 3-7s, be their 6th loss in a row. I know you're smiling from cheek to cheek on that one.
Oh, absolutely. They haven't lost 5 in a row since 2008, I believe it was, which was Rodgers' first year starting. So it's amazing. I love it. I hope to continue to see them lose and go ahead and escort Rodgers out the door. And yes, with Moonoff in the chat, we should say something good about the Texans. So
they covered on Thursday. So
and Dameon Pierce is a beast.
Yeah, the New York Football Giants this weekend. So another NFC East matchup, and they got Washington next week. So they're going to the NFC East gauntlet right now.
Yeah.
Yes, there is Moonoffs for everybody tuning in on YouTube right now. Fire background y'all have there. Good vibes. Yes, Moonoff. LOL, good teams win, great teams cover. So the Texans did come through for us, D-Gen. So shout out to your Houston Texans. We need to put a poll on Twitter on the NFL Gambling Podcast. Who has the better beard once and for all? Lovie Smith or Moonoff?
Yeah, since he's here, I'm going to say Moonoff.
Yeah, no, smart answer, smart man. J Mark, I can't believe we're already in week 10. I know we just did last week the mid-season awards. The season's flying by. Before you know it, we're going to be talking playoff seeding, playoff scenarios. What are your thoughts heading into this week number 10, just previewing this slate?
Yeah, we got a couple good games and a couple gross games again. Some that you don't even care to watch on this week 10 slate. But another takeaway, speaking of the game we're going to talk about first here, how good is your coach of the year pick for Pete Carroll looking right now? Like, damn, that was 50-1 at the time you gave it out? 80-1.
Yes, 80-1. Wasn't Arthur Smith was 50-1?
That's right.
Yep. Yes. So, I mean, the Falcons are still in the hunt. I know that the Bucks finally won a game. The Falcons have kind of spiraled a little bit in terms of covering the number, but they got a big game tomorrow night to reclaim first place in that NFC South.
Yeah, and they better win that because then the week after that they play the Bears, and we'll chalk that up as a loss.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We have another foreign game this weekend, and I wish we had the Babbel ad read because then we could talk about learning our German before we preview the Seahawks Buccaneers game in Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick before we get started, Munaf's got a question. Seeing Brady, Rogers, Stafford struggling, is this a product of a lack of offensive weapons, bad O-line, or combination? What do you think?
I think when it's as bad as it is, it's got to be a combination of everything. Offensive line obviously has been a big issue for all these teams. And I mean, for the Rams, it's like it's Cooper Kupp or nothing. They literally have no other options. Allen Robinson's been horrible, and they can't run the ball. As for Brady and Rodgers, they're just not playing it at an elite level. And I guess what we're finding out is that they needed to play it at an elite level because their supporting cast just aren't that good. Would you agree with that statement that they're just not playing at an elite talent? Like their stats are still good, but for Brady and Rodgers standards, they're not.
Yeah, no, I agree. Both of them, especially Rogers, he just doesn't look like he cares anymore. That's one of the things. And then
Yes.
I heard an announcer talk about this, and I'm going to steal it. Unfortunately, I don't remember which announcer it was, but they were talking about how these elite quarterbacks never play in the preseason. And when you have so many new pieces around you, I feel like those are valuable reps that you need to build so you can get their trust, you can get their rhythm down. Now, you would think that you would at this time start getting some of that, but these guys just haven't been able to get on track. I mean, you could blame Stafford's shoulder injury, you could blame Rodgers' thumb, you could blame, I don't know, Brady's divorce. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can blame, but I think really it's just a matter of these guys are a little bit slower, they're a little bit older. They maybe should have called it when they were up ahead. And then you have all these pieces that just aren't working out because, I mean, if you think about Rodgers, his contract is so big, they've not invested much else on offense. And it's biting the teams in the ass, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I feel like you are the expert that we need to call on every time we need to talk Green Bay Packers struggles because you just light right up and you're like, I could go in depth about this. I've been waiting about 10 years to dive into why the Packers are struggling because it seems like it's been about a decade since they've struggled like this.
I saw a little meme on I don't know if it was Twitter or whatever, but it was a little headstone and it said 2022 was the death year of the Packers having a better quarterback than the Bears. So finally, maybe we can say our quarterback's better.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard not to argue right now that the future is more bright in Chicago than it is Green Bay. I mean, that's no doubt with the Fields and that young talent. So we'll see how it goes this week and if the Packers, I guess, could get back on track, but they need more than just a win over Dallas to get back on track. So, but before we dive into that Germany game that I talked about with Brady and Geno Smith, I want to shout out and get us paid. WinBet, ready to win some money and boost your odds? WinBet is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. We're bringing the excitement of Win Las Vegas to online sports betting and casino play. Exclusive rewards right at your fingertips with Win Rewards on WinBet. Be on the lookout for WinBet Win Hour each Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. During WinBet Win Hour, marquee games of the week will have better odds on WinBet, giving you a larger payout opportunity. Great promos, odds, and payouts that are happening right now on WinBet. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-games on every major sport, WinBet has what you need to win now. Ready to play? Sign up to receive a special offer. Bet 100, win 100. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so that they know that we sent you. That's the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. And of course, offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older in the present in the state where you play. WinBet is available. If you or someone has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-522-4700. All right, let's dive into that Germany game. The Seattle Seahawks, the first place Seattle Seahawks, may I add, at 6-3, are heading across not the country, the globe. Yeah, I'm used to saying East Coast to West Coast with Seattle going to Tampa or going to Florida. They are going to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers finally off the losing streak are laying 3 points. Over under set at 44.5. J Mark, where are you thinking for this matchup?
Yeah, I don't understand how Seattle's the underdog here. I mean, they've been more consistent. They've been really a better rated team all year in my book. It is Tampa Bay favored just because they won? Because I mean, they took advantage of a bad Rams team and barely. I mean, they needed literally all 60 minutes to do so. Pete Carroll 17-7-1 covering the spread before the bye, 6-1 as a 7 or less underdog. Tampa Bay 2-6-1 against the spread all year. And Gino, he's right now in the race for MVP, which is crazy to think, but he's got this whole team inspired, I think. And the Bucks, they're not looking inspired at all. So give me Seattle +3.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go Seattle as well. I just think this market just keeps undervaluing Seattle, and I thought last week they might take a step back, kind of a sandwich spot coming off the big win the previous week over the Giants. Then they got to go to Arizona with Germany on deck. They didn't. I mean, they dominated that game over Arizona. I thought, like you said, I thought Tampa Bay was dominated by LA last week. I know they got in the win column because Brady was Brady at the end, a flashback, but I think the travel favors a younger and more hungry team with Seattle as well. Brady obviously being in his mid 40s, I think the travel all the way over Germany hurts them. And I'm with you. I like Seattle plus the points, and I'm definitely going to grab the money line. I'm seeing it currently at plus 130, so I'll take the Seahawks. I'm not fading this team anytime soon. They just continue to be a covering wagon going forward. Do you think the Seahawks can hold off the Niners in the West?
Well, that's going to be tough, especially with the Niners improving with Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, I think it kind of at the beginning of the year, 4 or 5 weeks in, we were like, man, Seattle, they look good, but they're getting lucky, right? I don't think we can say that anymore. I think
No.
this team is legit. I think they're going to continue to be competitive. So it's going to be neck and neck with them and the 49ers. If 49ers stay healthy, I still think they're a little bit better of a team. But I don't know. It's going to be a close one.
Yeah, and looking ahead to the schedule with those two teams, obviously they played in week number 2, a game that San Francisco won. But that was, if people remember, that was a game where Jimmy G relieved Trey Lance via the injury. So maybe Seattle had prepped all week for Trey Lance and then Jimmy G, and it's a new offense. They're going to rematch probably for the NFC West title on a Thursday night game on December the 15th. So, and that game's going to be in Seattle. So mark your calendars for that one. Most likely the West is going to come down to that matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. What a game, too. That'll be great to watch.
Yeah, the 12th man will be rocking for that one.
Yep.
Moving along on our slate, the Minnesota Vikings. They are 7-1 after coming back in exciting fashion if you're a Vikings fan or a Washington hater. But they come back, they move to 7-1, they continue to roll. Kirk Cousins, no shirt, dancing on the plane, enjoying a couple beverages, I'm sure. They're going to Buffalo, and all of a sudden we have issues in Buffalo with the status of Josh Allen. The Bills are laying 3.5, so this just tanked right before we came on air. So kind of telling us that Josh Allen most likely is not going to play, I think. Over under 43.5, so the over under went down as well. J Mark, do you agree that we're most likely going to see Case Keenum Sunday in Buffalo?
I think the books are definitely leaning that way, and they
Yeah.
normally know, like we were talking, they normally know before we do, right?
Yep.
But this morning I grabbed this at 7.5 at one place on the Vikings. I've seen it at 6, and now all the way down to 3.5. This is going to be an interesting one because I don't think the Bills have a dominant enough run game to lean on. So then it's a matter of, can Case Keenum beat his old team? I mean, there's a little bit of revenge angle there. And I don't know if he does. This game, it's got the potential of being really ugly, in my opinion. I think we see under 40 points, similar to the Bills-Jets game. And I think the Vikings can outlast them or at least stay within 3 points with Case Keenum. Now, if Josh Allen plays, it's kind of a different story, but that elbow's messed up anyways. I don't think he's going to be 100% either way. So I hate doing it, but I'm going to go with the Vikings plus 3.5 here. How about you?
I would grab the Vikings right now, even at 3.5, and I'm with you. I grabbed it close to a touchdown earlier in the week because I think if when they officially rule out Josh Allen, I think this thing will go below a field goal,
Yeah,
if not close to a pick 'em come game time. And then I would think about jumping on the Bills because I do agree with you that it is a revenge angle for Case Keenum. Um, the Bills, I think Case Keenum is a serviceable backup. They have a good roster, good defense. So I think they can win the game, but I'm not going to lay more than a field goal with the backup quarterback, even with that Bills roster.
especially in Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
no, yeah, that crowd will rally, I think, where they
yep,
can find a way to get the win, but it's going to be hard to cover more than a field goal against a good team like the Minnesota Vikings.
agreed. And we've been so hesitant to call them a good team, but
I know.
they just keep winning.
I know. They yeah, they're due for some regression, but I mean, I said that all last week and I thought I was on the right side. I was not prematurely celebrating, but cautiously prematurely celebrating on Sunday, and then boom, Kirk Cousins reminded me that they're 7-1. But yeah, no, I mean it's what are you? How are you handicapping this Bills team without Josh Allen going forward? I mean, can they even hold on in the division now if Allen has to miss extended time?
If he misses extended time, I don't think so. I mean, we've talked about this Bills team goes as Josh Allen goes, and we saw him. He got hurt last week, still played the rest of the game, but we saw him get bullied almost, pushed around by what I called the little brother, the annoying little brother, and then
Yes.
beat by the Jets. I mean, and I think that that's going to be the games we see. You're not going to see that dominant um, team that we've seen with Josh Allen. Now, their defense is still very good. Their defense is going to have to carry them because I just don't think this offense can do enough without Josh Allen.
No, I agree with you 100% there. I hope that Josh Allen comes back. And I know I saw Adam Pelletier, our editor, tweet out today. He was praying for Josh Allen's elbow. So, yeah, no, as a football fan, I want to see Josh Allen play. I'm not a Bills fan. I do like the Bills because I like teams like our two teams that have struggled and not won all the time. So they're easy to root for. So hopefully Josh Allen can get back and get healthy so that he can get ready for a playoff run.
Agreed.
Moving along in the slate, and here we go. We're going to Chicago, where the Detroit Lions, NFC North battle, are going to Chicago, coming off the big win over the Green Bay Packers. The Bears all of a sudden have an explosive offense where they score
Right.
30 points every game, and the over-under set at 48.5. Jay, Mark, are your Chicago Bears going to get back in the win column on Sunday?
Oh yeah, welcome to the Justin Fields era too. Like he's
Yeah.
finally arrived. And it's a thing that's giving all of us Bears fans hope that we finally have a franchise quarterback that we can build around. I know Detroit's been good against the spread versus the NFC North, but that doesn't matter to me. I think this Bears team is pumped up. They thought they should have won last week. They didn't. There's all the stuff with how good Fields is, and in every media outlet that you look at, and it's true. I mean, his passing has gotten better. His running is elite. It's some of the best that I've seen. And they do a very good job at taking care of inefficient defenses. Now, Detroit, I would call them an inefficient defense. So, except when they play the Packers, apparently. But yeah, give me the Bears at 3, and that's plus 100 on WinBet right now. So, I mean, plus 100 odds with 3-point favorites. I'm jumping all over that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've checked the weather. I'm sure you have as a Bears fan, and it's going to be 35, windy, cold.
Yep.
That's not when you take Jared Goff. The Lions
Right.
are not good outside, out of a dome. So I'm with you. I really like the Bears. I am worried that it is a little bit public, but at the same time, I this Lions defense struggles to stop the run. So I think Chicago will be able to establish the run. And the Lions are coming off a win. They don't win back-to-back games.
And a win against the Packers, I mean, that's got to be like almost like a Super Bowl to the Lions with their struggles that they've had the past several years. Beating the Packers has to be a huge thing and like an emotional thing for them. So yeah, I think coming off the win, And then the Bears coming off a loss that they think they should have won. I think I'd take Bears up to a touchdown myself. Now that's the homer in me, of course, but yeah, 3 seems too easy.
Yeah, no, we're seeing eye to eye. I think this is going to be lock potential when we get to the end of the show. So stay tuned for our lock, dog, and tease for week number 10. But before we continue on, I got to get us paid one more time. It is the holiday season. We said temperatures are dropping. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Christmas will be here before you know it. So get your holiday shopping done early at SGPN Merch Store. SGPN gear is the perfect stocking stuffer for the DGen in your favorite life. I really like the hats. I just got one myself. It should be here any day now. So comfortable. They just redid the whole merch store. So make sure you go check that out. And plus, this is the best part. From now until Thanksgiving, you can get 10% off when you use the promo code Dallas Sucks. Yes, I said Dallas Sucks. As a Washington fan, I am more than happy to yell that from a rooftop. So that's the store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. And remember, the promo code is Dallas Sucks. Dallas Sucks. So yeah, make sure you go check out our merch store. Continuing on, too bad Dallas isn't in our slate now that I have introduced that I hate Dallas, and I know I'm probably going to get a raise for yelling that now from Ryan
Right?
and Sean with their hatred for the Dallas Cowboys as well.
I am rooting for Dallas this week, though. Just
Yeah, no,
because
they
it
get
means
back.
Rodgers loses again.
Maybe they both can lose.
There you go. End in a tie.
Yeah, but let's move along. We got Cleveland going down to South Beach. This will not be a cold game. Dolphins laying 3.5, over under 48.5. Jay Mark, what do you think here?
So this was a tough one. It looks obvious to me, but I think that game last week for the Dolphins actually might have taken a lot out of them. I mean, that was a kind of a slugfest. A lot of points. That defense had to have gotten run down chasing Fields. I don't know if you saw, but the Dolphins coach told him to stop it. And then in the press conference, he said, I told him to quit scrambling. And then it was annoying because he didn't listen. I mean, he's such a weird dude, but
He is
Browns,
different.
yeah, the Browns have been a disappointment. They are 7-1 against the Dolphins in the last 8, but that is not these Dolphins. These Dolphins are better. They're more talented. Cleveland's 1-6 against the spread after the bye. One of those things where, that should be when you play some of your best football because you've made your adjustments. You've got extra time to game plan. They don't seem to do that. And then one last little thing for me, Miami's very good at home in November, 6-1 the last 7 November games. They're playing a cold weather team. So I'm on the Dolphins at 3.5. How about you?
I'm going to go with the Browns. I think you handicapped. I liked your handicap initially where you were talking about that Bears game. I thought took a lot of,
Yep.
and the Lions game. I mean, it's back-to-back emotional road wins where you sneak out by field goal each way. And the Browns are the fresher team coming off the bye after the big Cincinnati beatdown. I think they're able to run the ball and keep this thing close. And just looking at it, I mean, I think both defenses are going to struggle to stop one another. I think there's going to be more points, kind of like the Bears game, kind of like the Lions game with the previous 2 Dolphins games. So I'm looking at Stefanski. He's 2-0 straight up off the bye week. So he's been good for the most part, I guess, with extended rest. So I'll take a stab at the Browns to keep this thing close.
Yeah, one other thing, Florida's getting ready to get hammered by another hurricane. It's not supposed to be as big as Ian, but apparently some of those seawalls are depleted from Ian. So it is going to affect people. Whether that affects Miami or not, I don't know. But if that does kind of affect them, that would throw a different angle at this game.
No doubt, especially because the less Jacoby Brissett throws, the better they are.
Yeah.
Run the ball with Nick Chubb, especially everybody that's a fantasy owner of Nick Chubb.
That's
so,
right.
yeah, no, if monitor, we got some weather this weekend. You got to think about styles of play, who's good at running the ball, if it's cold, winds, hurricanes. So we got a little bit of everything this week number 10.
Yeah. Nick Fortune in the chat says Dolphins win.
I don't disagree, but Browns cover.
There you go.
So, yeah, so that would be what, a third straight Dolphins win by what, a field goal where they win but don't cover if that happened?
Yep.
I do like Nick's back in the chat here. Player props, Hill and Nick Chubb over, so and Waddle. So I think that's a safe bet. both these defenses are in fade territory for me.
For sure.
Moving along to the next one, we got the Denver Broncos also coming off a bye because they won in London the week before that. They're going down to Tennessee, where this is a battle of struggling quarterbacks, to say the least. The
Yeah.
Titans are laying 2.5, over under 37.5. That number tells you that these quarterbacks have been struggling. J Mark, you riding with the Vrabel home team, or you going to take Russ off a bye here?
You know, these Broncos have been so bad, and then they win before the bye, and it's like, are they finally putting it together? But Titans just went toe to toe with the Chiefs with a quarterback that only threw it 80 yards. And I think we can all agree, as good as the Broncos defense has been at times, this Broncos team in general is not the Chiefs. And if we're, we always say home field advantage, they usually give 3 points. So we're saying the Broncos would be favored at a neutral field. That doesn't quite add up to me. I can't back this Broncos team right now. So I'm going to take the Titans with the 2.5. It was 3 earlier, and that made me nervous of a push. So I like it at 2.5 because I think they win by a field goal.
I'm gonna go Denver. I love their defense. I think their defense is really good. And you mentioned it was Malik Willis. He threw for 80 yards. He's, I think, in 2 games, he's 11 of 27 for what, like just over 100 yards. Like
nothing good.
I just think Denver stacks the box and they win a game that just comes down to a field goal. This is going to be a low scoring. So I do like the under, even at 37.5. So I'll ride with the road team. What do you make of these Titans? Obviously, they need Ryan Tannehill back because they are very, very limited offensively. But
yeah,
for some reason, they always get up behind Vrabel for these big games in Kansas City, the Buffaloes. So how are you backing these Titans going forward?
I mean, if Derrick Henry can continue to dominate and they can just keep feeding him, I like them to keep doing well. I've not been a Malik Willis fan since before the draft. I didn't think he was going to be an NFL caliber quarterback, unfortunately. Maybe getting Treylon Burks, he's supposed to come back. They're a rookie wide receiver. Maybe that'll help the pass game. I don't think it helps enough. But yeah, I think they are one of those teams where what you need to do is stop the run, stop Derrick Henry, and you can probably beat him, but nobody can. And this Broncos defense now without Bradley Chubb, I'm curious to see what they'll look like, because he was a big part of that defense of theirs, and they traded him away to Miami, which I think was a good trade because then they don't have to pay him. I don't think they're going to pay him anyways. They get a first rounder back, but I'm just curious what it's going to look like without him there as the linebacker.
Yeah, no doubt. And then just a couple other trends as well with Vrabel, just reading it off. He's another guy that is really better as an underdog versus a favorite for some reason, kind of like Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco as a favorite in his career, 18 and 22 and 1 as a favorite compared to 23 and 14 as a dog. So those are ATS, by the way, not straight up. So him and Shanahan, back him as a back him as a dog, but fade him as a favorite.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I liked your angle or how your breakdown on Tennessee going forward. It's just they got to get Tannehill back.
Yeah,
because I mean, you can't be throwing for 80 yards in 2022 in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, and Tannehill doesn't even have to do that much, but just throw more than 80 yards.
Yeah, no kidding. So speaking of 2 offenses that are pretty limited, we're going to go to the Steel City for our next matchup. New Orleans coming off the Monday night loss, laying 2.5 in Pittsburgh, over under 40.5. Where are you going here, J Mark?
Does this game excite anybody?
No.
I mean, right?
No.
It doesn't me. This is one that I looked at. I was like, I don't care if I never see this game. The Saints just stomped by the Ravens. These 2 teams are basically playing for nothing. But here's the X factor for me. JJ Watt should be back. They've activated him from injured reserve. They said he's day to day, but he should be back. And we've seen, even though it was only 1 week this year, but we've seen he is a game changer. And the Steelers defense is completely different when he's on the field, and the Saints can't protect Dalton either way. So I expect him, if he's back, to have a huge game. And I just feel like Tomlin's going to come out of this bye with a good performance. I think he's got a lot to prove to show that he's still an upper echelon coach. And yeah, I think they're going to upset them. I think they're going to cover. So give me the Steelers at plus 2.5. How about you?
I'm with you. I'm going to take them outright. I think they're going to win the game. Tomlin off 6 home games, coming off a bye at home, 5-1 straight up, covering by almost 10 points a game. Ironically, his only loss was to the Saints in 2014. So this is his one loss. So payback. And we always talk about how good Tomlin is as a dog, 39-16-1 ATS, 14-2 ATS at home. Where they're underdogs by 7 or less points. So I mean, this is the time to back Tomlin. And you said TJ Watt's coming back, a little bit of momentum coming out of the bye, and the Steelers got to get on a roll if they want any chance of getting into the wild card or back into the wild card race for 2-6. So Tomlin teams usually get better as the season go along and as the weather drops in temperatures. And just pulling up the weather for Sunday, projected it's going to be in the high 30s with some wind. So I think that favors Pittsburgh,
Yep, agreed.
especially with the dome team in a short week for New Orleans coming off that Monday night loss.
Yeah, yep. I like it.
This next one's interesting to me. Jacksonville is going to Kansas City. Kansas City's only laying 9.5, and the over/under is 50.5. So expect points. Any chance Jacksonville covers this?
You know, this is a hard one because KC barely skated by Tennessee. And despite the Jags record, I think their offense is better. So I think
Yeah,
Travis Etienne can have a good game against the Chiefs. And when you're running the ball, you're doing exactly what you need to do against the Chiefs. You're keeping Patrick Mahomes off the field. So the Chiefs may be 6-2, but they're really not that great of a team at covering,
no.
including not covering at home yet. So I think I'm going to go with the Jags here. It feels gross, but I think I'm going to go with the Jags at 9.5.
And you mentioned it. It is gross because Kansas City's currently the most public team, getting over 80% of the tickets, 80% of the money. But the number's not weighing off of 9.5. I think they're baiting you to take Kansas City. You mentioned it. They get bored against these teams that they know they're going to beat. And this is also a look ahead because they got LA in prime time next week of the Chargers. So I
Yep.
think they're looking ahead. They're going to go through the motions, win this by about 6-7 points. Um, Under Mahomes playing at Arrowhead back to back, he's Mahomes is only 5-9 ATS, so a trend in our favorite. And they just like you said, this is also Doug Peterson against Andy Reid, so former assistant versus his head coach at the time, his boss. So I'm with you. I'm going to take Jacksonville. I don't think they're going to win, obviously, but I think Kansas City has issues stopping this Jacksonville offense.
Yeah, I do. And like I said, the Jags record doesn't reflect it, but their offense hasn't been terrible. I mean, they've been able to move the ball, especially after trading James Robinson away and giving the ball just consistently to ETN. He has been very good. It's been a lot better than I actually expected he'd be coming back from that injury. But I mean, he's getting 5-6 yards a carry. And if you can do that, slow the game, keep Mahomes off, then there's no reason they can't cover this game.
No, we're seeing eye to eye on this one. And the final game of our early window slate is Moonoff's Houston Texans are going to New York, the big city, the Big Apple, and the Giants are laying 4.5 only now. That number has come down from 6.5 earlier in the week. Over under 40.5. What do you think here? You think Texas could keep this thing close?
They showed some fight against the Eagles on Thursday night. I was a little surprised, especially without their top two wide receivers in Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins. Um, but the Giants got to watch that game from home, right? They were on a bye. And if you listened to us before, you know that I'm really impressed by Coach Dabble. I think he's done a really good job. Texans are 6-19 on the road against teams with a winning record. I think they put together a good game against the Eagles, but that was a 14.5 point spread at the time the game closed. This is only 5. And so the Giants at 4.5 seems easy to me. It's really interesting to think at a neutral field, if you take those 3 points away, Giants are only a 1.5 point favorite. That doesn't make sense to me over the Texans. So unless there's injury news that they've not released, give me the Giants. How about you?
I think the Texans are going to keep this thing close. And I think the Giants are due for some regression. I do agree that it is a little bit of a short number and it kind of reeks. So that's why I'm taking the Texans. I think the Texans, they're competitive. I mean, they with Lovey, they fight, they run the ball with Damian Pierce. I think this is a low total as well. So I think it's kind of telling you this is going to be a physical matchup. And weather in New York as well, we are looking at another game in the 40s. So colder game, good wind, high winds as well. So I think the Giants, I think we're about to hear some breaking news on injury reports of why this game dropped from about 6.5 to 4.5. So I'll grab the Texas plus 4.5, but I do think the Giants will ultimately win.
Yeah, I hope it's not Saquon Barkley. I got a lot of shares of him in fantasy
That
football.
that's who I mean, that's the main guy that I'm thinking
It's the
would
only one that
impact the
would make
line like that.
yeah, only one that would make sense because even if Dan Jones is out, I mean, they rely on Saquon Barkley.
Dan Jones.
Dan Jones.
Yeah. We'll see how the Giants come out with Dable out of the bye. So um let's transition into our final segment of the show. The lock, dog, and tease for week number 10. Where are you going for your lock?
It's probably predictable, but I'm going to lock up my Bears at 3-point favorites. I just think they're a better team than this Lions, and they are trending up. That offense is clicking. They have another week now to kind of prepare with life without Roquan Smith, so hopefully get that defense a little bit better, performing a little bit better. And it's Goff and cold weather. This is California boy Goff. So give me the Bears by 3.
I am joining you on your lock on Jared Goff sucks island. Give me the
Love it.
Bears, baby, -3. So we are on the same side. Chicago Bears, like you said, Goff in the cold, coming off a win over the Packers. Great time to fade them. Give me the Bears -3. I think the Bears will just run the ball right down their throats.
Yep, agreed.
How about dog? Where are you thinking dog wise today?
So I like a couple of them, but I'm gonna
Same.
do Seahawks. It's plus 130. I like the Steelers, so if for just a little bonus to make it a little better, I'm gonna wrap those up in a money line parlay, which pays plus 380. So I like that, almost 4-1. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm taking the Steelers plus 125 on the money line. So shorter dog this week. And to give out my money line parlay that I like to give out each week, I kind of like that angle with the Seahawks, but I'll go to a different team just because for our viewer. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to ride with you on that one. I'm going to go plus 380. Seattle gets it done over Tampa in Germany, and then Pittsburgh gets it done over New Orleans. So we're fading the NFC South as our dogs.
I like it.
Where do you want to go for your teas this week?
So I'm double dipping a little on my lock here, but
Yep.
tease the Bears to plus 3. Give me the Giants to plus 1. I don't see them losing that game. And then the Vikings plus, well, I guess they're down to what, 3.5 now? So they'll be plus 9.5. That's interesting to me. I originally threw it in here at plus 12 because when I was looking at these lines, they were 6-point dogs. So maybe I'll change that. Maybe I'm going to do Jaguars plus 15.5. That's a big, nice number that I
There you
think they
go.
stick close. So I'm gonna change it to that. So Bears plus 3, Giants plus 1, Jags plus 15.5. How about you?
I'm going to go to the Broncos plus the 8.5.
Hmm.
I'm going to go to the Steelers plus 8.5. So cross some multiple key numbers with both of those. And then I'm going to tease the Texans as well from 4.5 to 10.5. So get over that double digit mark. So 3 bigger dogs, 8.5 for the Broncos, 8.5 for the Steelers, and 10.5 for the Texans.
I like it. And really, this year we've not seen a lot of blowout games. Seems
Yes.
like the games have been a lot closer than in past years. So getting more points there, love it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you. And anytime you can cross those key numbers of 3, 7, 10, that's what you're looking for with those teases. So anytime crossing your T's and dotting your I's there is always a good feeling as well. J
Absolutely.
Mark, before we get up on out of here, tell everybody where to find you.
Yeah, follow me at JMark Football on Twitter, and then check out Old Fashioned Football on the SGPN Fantasy Football, where we talk fantasy football and drink whiskey. And that's the one we had this past one, Burning Chair. So yeah, go check us out.
You hear that, everybody? listen to football and drink whiskey. What's better than that? What's more American than that?
That's right.
I just got caught up on my episodes today, looking for a nice fantasy football playoff push coming up here. You guys can find me on Twitter at moneyline_Mac. Everybody watching on YouTube can see our Twitter handles as well. We're still in college football season. Go check out the college football experience. MLB's done, so you can wait a little bit on the MLB pod, NBA pods, and NBA gambling podcast. Go check out them. NBA's going. College basketball has finally started, so I'm sure you guys will hear me if you go tune in on that channel. The college basketball experience, we handicap every single game throughout this season, so plenty of action, plenty of stuff to bet on, and of course, go follow J Mark at Old Fashioned Football for your fantasy content. Before we get up on out of here, J Mark, you got anything going into week number 10?
Well, just make sure you follow Ryan's basketball picks because you hit a plus 1100. I don't remember what team it was, but you hit a plus 1100 dog.
It was opening. It was Gulf Coast. Gulf Coast won
go.
at USC. So
Yep.
yeah, they got San Diego tonight. So yeah, we're handicapping all these games. Colby and I. Colby's a machine. So go follow Pick Dundee. He's over at the football experience and the basketball experience.
And other than that, all I got is welcome to the NFL, Justin Fields. Let's go Bears.
There you go. And make sure you go check out the Heineke's on Monday night at those undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. I may be tweeting out a plus 400 money line dog in an NFC East matchup.
There you go.
That's all. That's all I got. Good luck with everybody with your bets this weekend. College football, NFL, week number 10. And don't forget to let it ride.